Next in our season, talking to MHK's 1 year in on their report card, we have Bill Malarkey, Minister, of course, with us today. Well, I mean, you're an old hand at this. You know, this is not new for you, of course, but I mean, you did leave government. Left being an MHK, determined you wanted to come back. Why was that? Why did you hadn't had enough of it, right?
No, I felt in 2011 I was obviously disappointed when I didn't get re-elected, but I still felt I had a lot to offer. So I went into council, as you well know, and spent 3 years in council, and then was delighted to get re-elected in 2016 at the by-election.
Power. You want power.
It's not about power. It's about achieving things for the island I love so much. You know, remember I've been in regionally since 2006, and I think there's only about 2 members or 3 members now in the current MHKs who had to be in departments when we lost the VAT amount of money, and they were very difficult and hard days. There were some really hard decisions had to be made. I often listen to people saying, well, you know, it's the last government that did this and the last government did that. You know, I think we're going in the right direction at the moment. I think there's a lot of positive things coming out of the new government, but that's a result of what the past 2 governments have had to cope with. You don't lose £200 million of your income and not have to squeeze the accounts.
Big fan of the Bell administration then, were you?
I thought they had a very difficult job to do. I only came in quite late into that. I was in education at that time, and to me the exciting part was the university side of the college, which I thought was a great step forward for the island. But I do get annoyed at times when I hear the criticisms of the Bell tier administration. I believe there was lots of bickering going on within council. I'm hearing, you know, at times.
If you heard, I certainly was hearing. Yeah. It was a meltdown for some of them at one stage. It sounded like.
But they had extremely difficult. A really extremely difficult job to do. Yeah. I mean, we've still got a difficult job to do. I mean, if the Treasury Minister were here now, he would tell you that he's got to find another £25 million. If he's got to find £25 million, they had to find £150 million. You know?
I mean, you know, what's being a backbencher to being in power, and I'd say that, you know, being a minister, is that something you really enjoy, being the boss? When
I went into politics, I had no ministerial ambitions whatsoever. I really didn't. I came in, there was a few things I wanted, I had been about. But obviously with time, with experience, I am absolutely delighted to be a minister. I really am. And as I said, this administration and council of ministers, I believe, works extremely well together. We all get on. We have a great input this year of 12, you know, very good new MHKs. Yeah. Who are keen and they want to learn, and they're coming and talking to us. We're having good debates. We're not having drawn out debates over repetition or things unnecessarily.
A big seismic change there.
I see a massive change. Remember, this is, you know, I did 5 years between 2006 and 2011, and I had 18 months in the last administration, and now I'm into a new one. And I see this one working extremely well. I see Tynwald going very well. We're getting through the bills, we're getting through. I heard criticisms a couple of weeks ago that we didn't get through many bills last year into our first year of administration. I think there was something like 16 bills came through, one more than the year before. You know, people don't realise there's an awful lot going on behind the scenes.
Was there one thing you stood on the doorstep? Was there one thing you wanted to get done in this life of the Parliament?
I have always been a very, very loud critic of the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company. Not the company itself. I think it's a wonderfully run company.
The user agreement.
The user agreement.
Right.
And I think, you know, the right decision was made by Tynwald this time.
Were you surprised how quickly that was? The debate was on and off in seconds. Well,
no,
it wasn't
because
at all, was it?
I, you know, again, behind the scenes, and unfortunately the public doesn't say it, we talk to all members of Tynwald, the Council of Ministers. We have briefings, and the whole idea of the briefings is to get information, sometimes classified information, that you do not really want out into the press. I'm sorry, Paul, but there are things that government has to move forward with without it being debated.
So you're suggesting there's something that really is that important to this whole thing that the public can't know about or won't know about?
There's so many different options on the table, and I don't think it would have been helpful to have the debate of what all the different options were in Tynwald. Have that debate when it's ready and when we know which option we want to go for.
So you're going to play hardball. I mean, this is one of your things you're going to really be on their case.
Why is it being hardball? It's being a sensible business person and the government acting as a sensible business. Sometimes you can kill debates by having them in Tynwald or directions you want to go. I know people think, oh, sometimes you hide behind confidentiality. It's for the good of the nation at times. It's not something because we're hiding something. It's because we want to know what the best way forward for.
So this will be sorted in this term, won't it? I mean,
well, I'm certainly hoping so. It's certainly I'm not going to let it go. It's something I want to see, sorted out one way or the other. And as I said before, there are several different options, that we need properly exploring.
And when they said, right, we're taking it all back then, our proposals, were you surprised, or do you think that was just blustering? I mean,
no. I mean, they are independently owned. They have directors and they have shareholders who have to make their decisions, just like government. We have to make our decisions.
Okay. How do you see this going? I mean, this administration, you've got yourself another good year to start doing things. Have you got other things on your mind that you really would like to sort out?
Very much with me within my department of Home Affairs, and I must say I've got an absolutely fantastic team around me, not just politically, because I have likes of Alex Allison and Claire Bettison and Mike Coleman and Ewan Turner within my department, but I've got a great team of officers around me, Chief Constable, Chief Fire Officer, Prison Governor, and I work very well with them all, and that to me is extremely helpful because I have my department. My next year is going to be about legislation. I've got 4 bills now currently with the Attorney General's office, the bail bill, the sentencing bill, the sexual offences bill and the licensing bill. They all are with the Attorney General at the moment. Okay. Then I have the communications bill, which you'll probably be aware of, which is a massive bill, which is also there within the Attorney General's office. And this is where my concentrations will be coming from.
Are you happy to stay there, or would you like to move to somewhere else, or would you like the top job?
I'm extremely happy in my department. To me, it was going home because remember, I spent 3.5 years in Home Affairs between 2007 and 11. At that time, I was in charge of the drug and alcohol strategy, the prison, youth justice team. Now, the drug and alcohol strategy now has moved to public health, and I'm watching what's going on there. We're waiting for a report to come out of public health with regard to that. I've got some strong views, but I don't want to go down.
Health? Would you like the job?
Who would want to move and have the hot potato?
Well, you're not saying no here.
Okay, no, it's not something I would personally like to go to. Make no mistake about it. I'm very happy where I am.
Would you like to be in charge one day? Would you like to be the chief minister?
No, I wouldn't have Howard's job for a big clock. Thank you very much.
What's the relationship though with him like for you?
Extremely good. I get on with Howard. I supported him to be Chief Minister. I make no secret about that. I thought he was the right man for the job at the time. And I think he's proving that within the Council of Ministers. We are all given jobs to do, and we are allowed to get on and do our jobs. I mean, it's quite clear, get it wrong and you fall on your sword.
Did he give you a bit of a hard time over the Ramsey issue with the post office building and all that? Did you? Well, let's try this one. Do you think you handled it well? First of all,
did I handle it well? I could have handled the press better, and some political members a lot better. To be perfectly honest, what I did know from the word go was I was doing the right thing. I got quite frustrated at times. It started to show how frustrated I was getting because nobody was listening to me. I'd done everything to the book. I can't make the rules up as I go along. If I am told that this is how you have to sell a building and this is the direction you have to go in,
so you
have to do it.
How it went? You just weren't happy the way that you handled it.
I'm not happy that I could have handled it better myself. I make no bones about that. But I think the press listened to too many people who were telling absolute rubbish and not listening to the facts.
So is that the Cabinet Office press people who aren't helping you, or is it you personally who didn't handle it? Or what?
It flared up quite unexpectedly, in my opinion, in Keys with questions.
These things do, don't they?
Of course they do. And the very fact that I'd sent a letter to Ramsey commissioners before any of this came into the public, making it quite clear that I was going to go back and talk to them, but the rules and regulations said I needed to have a firm price of what it was.
Were you supported by Howard and Coleman? I mean, what was that like? Was that tricky?
they took the mickey at times. It still comes up. It still comes out of conversations if something's going on in Ramsey. You know, send Bill. You know,
you're on their hit list.
he'll go up and sort it out. No, I don't think so.
You've learned lessons, you think, though?
Oh, of course you do. I mean, that was very early, only 3 months straight into for being a minister at the time. Yes, I learned.
Do you think you're not getting enough media training in that sense, though, to handle how these things go? Because these days things are fought out in social media and on things like this.
Absolutely, and you'll not find me on social media. I mean, I've got a Facebook page, and I have nice stuff on. My daughter's 21st birthday yesterday. I'll put that on. I'm not responding to political things.
What about the MHKs who do, though? I mean, there's obviously a couple who are particularly strong on their social media. Although Rob Colson said he's contemplating coming off.
Well, I'm glad to hear that from Rob. At times, I make no bones. I've actually said to Rob, sometimes you can hang yourself on social media, and knee-jerk reactions. I mean, mine was a knee-jerk reaction within Ramsey Courthouse, and I should have stepped back and said nothing for 24 hours until I thought it through probably quicker. I've learned that lesson, you know. And
don't really stop talking to the media, though, but, you know, that's
I've eased up a little bit with talking to the media because I was very disappointed in the way it was being portrayed at times.
We know we don't edit anything, but I'm just pushing that in. Let's talk about your performance out of 10, what you're going to give yourself this year.
Well, we joked about this yesterday when you spoke. You know,
I think everyone's now worried about this.
Any good minister should turn around and say, "Well, we're 10-10 because we're doing our best." You know, we're giving ourselves 100%. No, I wouldn't give myself 10. I mean, obviously, Ramsey was a learning curve for me. There's a lot to happen in the future that's with legislation and things. So I've been watching some of your interviews you're doing. I'm going to run down the 7 line. Everybody seems to be...
Safe 7, as I'm calling this.
7, I think it seems to be.
Okay. And what about the government then, as a general?
Well, again, I would go a safe 7 to 8 because... Unfortunately, you know, you can't always see what goes on behind the scenes. We sit in the Council of Ministers. We have a good chat before opening council on a Thursday at 10 o'clock. We all get there about 9:15, 9:20, and we sit down and we talk about problems. We talk about what's happening in our departments or what problems could be coming forward for the future before we go into council. So we are communicating with each other. We know what each other's problems are, what's on the horizon. And as I said earlier on when we were talking about the steam packet, you can't always go straight to the public with what's going on.
No. Okay. Are you a career politician? I mean, you have been anyway, but do you see yourself rolling on, you know, in 4 years' time and that sort of thing? I
haven't got that far, Paul, to be perfectly honest. You know, I've said, you know, this is my last term, and the other times I say, well,
you said that?
I've said to myself,
right.
you know, and then I go, you know, the word is never say never. You don't know where you're going to be. I said I would never put myself forward as a minister, but I'm enjoying the job so much as I go along, and as long as I think I'm making a difference to this island.
Would you like to go upstairs, MLC or something like that?
That I can rule out now publicly. That's not on my absolutely not on my radar. I can actually say I would not. That's not something I would see myself put myself forward with. Okay. It could be an interesting debate when we come back with the MLCs.
Yeah, and some up in February, aren't they? So you're going to start thinking about who's going to take the places or be nominated anyway. Will you be nominating someone?
I want to see how we come out of the debate with regard to them and what their powers are, what the wage scales are. And
what was your view on the bishop? Did you have one?
Well, I think the Isle of Man should and must have a bishop. I've always said that. Yeah. It's important we have a cathedral, we have a bishop.
But you know why we've got the bishop overall? Everyone assumes it's because they get a position in government.
Unfortunately, lots of the new members were not aware that when we discussed it going back in 2007, 8, 9 about, you must know, electrical discussions have gone on for as long as I can remember of what we should be able to do with them. And it came back that if we didn't have a bishop with a vote on Tynwald, we wouldn't have a bishop.
Well, Channel Islands don't have one, do they? Because
we don't have to be the same as Channel Islands.
Do you want them? I know, but do you want them to have a vote or not?
I want us to have a bishop.
Yeah, but do you want them to have a vote?
I would be happy if the bishop lost the vote. I wouldn't have a problem. I still want him in Tynwald. I think at times he does bring a level head to some of the debates, and he certainly has done in the past when we've had some fiery politicians in there making strange accusations. The Bishop has always brought us back to a
all right. Well, we can talk about this one in third
Yeah,
time. But an overall happy year?
Yes, I'm very happy the way the year's gone. I've settled down after Ramsey, as you well know. I hate to tell everybody, I've got about another 5 properties coming up now for sale, but it'll be done exactly the same way, as Ramsey was dealt with. It's going to have to go until we change the rules. I've got to stick to them.